the Community Engagement Committee. And welcome to everyone here, Yasmina, Susan, Paul, and Michael, and everybody out there. I guess it's Susan Fatig is with us, and of course Marty,
Katie, Howard, and
Katie. Hi, Katie.
And Phil just joined.
And Phil's on. Okay, Phil, are you home or are you somewhere else?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm at home.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. The first thing on the agenda is going to be any public comments. So let's open the floor for that. Whoever would like to go first on that, Marty.
You can count on me, Keith. Thank you for the wonderful event at La Ferme. It was just marvelous. It's a great event every year and just gets better and better. And I know you've heard a lot of positive feedback about it, and it's just been really one of those events that I think the community now has really come to count on, and that is helping to heal some of the polarization and bring us all together. So kudos all around. The food was great. The company was even better. Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you, Marty. Thank you. We were so happy to have you there too.
Well,
Next
thanks.
time you got to bring Bill along with you.
He was working. What can I say? But hopefully next time.
Well, my Andrew did a really nice job over there meeting and greeting everyone as the doorman and the table hopper. And I think he kind of made a big hit over there with everybody.
A really nice hug when I walked up to the door.
He's going to be helping us with the celebration on the sidewalk, as well as other events.
Very good.
Thank you for those kind words, Marty. We always appreciate you, whether it be with community engagement or anything else here in this community, in Martin's Additions. And I know Paul will second that motion.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Marty mentioned the La Ferme Community Brunch. And I think we should feel very good about that, because all the feedback that I've had has been extremely positive. Yasmina?
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it, but I heard it was a really good event.
It was great. It was wonderful. Paul was there. Susan was there. And everybody just had a wonderful time. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
So that's something that we really want to do more of.
I mean, I think everybody that I spoke to had a great time there. The one bit of sort of potential improvement feedback is a couple of people said that they thought that the way the food was laid out last year promoted better sort of mixing than it did this year, but like whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I have an opinion on that.
I feel like last year we got the complaints that there wasn't enough room to move around, so they tried to set it up this way this year. So
Okay.
You have a Lincoln quote, you can please some of the people some of the time. This is where we're at.
That's right.
So my comment, which, maybe this isn't, that event isn't the place to solve it, but, I went without my husband with the intention of meeting people. And so I sat at a table on my own, and the only people who joined were people who are on the committee.
On the committee.
Which was great. I got to know the committee, but I don't know how you promote more intermingling, whether it's longer. I feel like one time I went, there were longer tables, so you were forced to be with more people and introduce yourself. I don't know what, and maybe it's just not the event to do that, because people tend to sit with their families or their,
or people
the
they
streets.
know.
or their streets.
We
But
need a game.
you need something that would, that would be good. You could do the thing where you, I don't know, something where, meet at the door, introduce yourself to someone new, or, because they have name tags, so
No,
I think it would.
We need something. We need
If
a
it's some
nice
sort of game where we had like representatives from each street and some sort of game, that might be a bit fun, but I don't know if it would be.
Or even a
To your
street
point,
table, because like people on my street, a few people know each other, but they don't all know each other. I don't know, but something to think about
No,
for
it's
next year.
definitely worth thinking about.
We should,
One of the options, this is Marty, one of the options is to have more block parties, which lets people on each sort of street or a couple adjacent streets. And I think block parties this summer is something I'd like to ask the committee to put on your agenda. I mean, that's not something the village has to sponsor. We just have to, I think Michael has to approve that the street can be blocked off partially or whatever. But anyway, I miss our block parties. Before COVID, we used to have community block parties, and that was a great way to get to know, especially the new neighbors moving in and out. So lots of different ways to come at that question, Susan.
Well, Marty, a lot of block parties were invented because of the COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how they got started. But I agree with you, we should do more of that.
We,
And
yeah, I mean, we had actually, one of the recommendations was, Michael, if you would be able to put out something in the next newsletter to encourage block parties.
As
You
regards
know,
the warmer weather.
Well,
it's-
I mean, I think a bunch of us on Shepherd Street have been part of that experience, and maybe we could put together a little, like, this is how we do it. These are the things to think about for a block party, because it's not much really. I mean, it's essentially what Jean laid out last year in terms of getting a permit to close.
It's really just a
closing the
form you
street.
fill out and send to me,
Yeah.
but those aren't supposed to be, we have a policy on this. Those aren't supposed to be supported by the village in any sort of financial way. They're just, the streets, it's supposed to be bottom up. The streets are supposed to do it for themselves. So I'm happy to explain the process of how people can go about doing that. It's not a bad idea to write that up in an article, just to let them know, if you want to do a street block party, here's how to go about it.
Yeah, with a link to the form. Would you mind doing that? Would that be okay?
It'd be more positive than here's the link and how you do it.
Yeah, I can write it up and make it
It's-
nice.
Yeah.
It's really,
Meet
yeah,
your
it's so
neighbors
easy. And I mean,
All I do is notify the county fire and police and response teams that we're closing the street. And they say, as long as we show up, we can get through, then it's fine. It's like, okay, that's fine.
and those of us who helped on Shepherd Street, we'd be glad to speak to people.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can definitely kind of
And
put
this
that, I
committee
mean, I
is-
don't want to speak for Paul here, but would you be willing to chat? I mean, I don't mind, and if, just
well-
to explain how easy it is.
Paul's all for the block parties.
Well, no, the Shepherd people kind of.
Invite the
They
Brookville.
grandfather
Oh.
Brookville people
Oh,
into the
That's how you do it,
Shepherd
because I was
party.
wondering what Brookville would do.
But
Yeah.
actually, who was it who Yoni came up with a great name for it. He said we should call it the Tea Party, because we're kind of like a tea let, like,
Mm.
anyway.
Politically, we might not go there. Maybe not. Let's tread lightly on that.
Okay.
Anybody else? How about Phil?
It looks like Phil has dropped off.
Phil, are you with
Still
us?
dropped off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's got the kids. I was gonna ask him about his little daughter, because she had that injury, that skiing injury. She actually broke her leg, I believe.
Oh, well,
Keith, could we add two things to the agenda today?
Sure, sure.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm wondering if we could just have a quick update. I know that our street has a new street captain. Thank you for sorting that out. And then, well, hadn't you mentioned like doing a volunteer celebration at some point? And I'm not sure where we are with that.
I think there's a volunteer celebration every year, and as part of the normal kind of scheduled operations.
The village office puts that on with the village council to thank all the volunteers on all the different committees. We have 5 committees this year. I think there's 5 people in each committee. I think ethics has 3, but then one of the committees has 6 people. So there's a lot of volunteers this year, and the village office will be announcing that in a bit.
When is that?
Usually been done in June.
Usually in June. Last year it was delayed a little bit. I think a lot of people were traveling, but we're hoping for June again this year. I have yet to schedule that, but
Yeah, but,
we have some plans for it, so.
okay. And
Keep-
can-
keep
can-
looking.
The last
can
day
you
of
invite us-
school for most, the school systems is June 13th, so I always find that's kind of after that date. And this is Katie Howard, by the way, everyone. Hello, good evening. Hope you're
Hi,
staying
Katie.
dry.
Katie.
I know my kids go to MCPS, their last day is June 13th, so a lot of people kind of take off or have, rolling vacations after that, so maybe early June would be good, because that's when you might get the most people still possibly in the area, but
And that's nothing for this committee to worry about. We handle booking that and scheduling
Right.
it.
right. But they're volunteers, so I want to make sure they're there.
Yes, yeah. You all be invited.
Well, I was thinking about the street captains.
Yeah, and I think, can we invite the street captains as well?
That's something I can ask the council about. Typically it's only been from volunteers on the committees, but we can definitely ask about the street captains. We definitely want to thank the street captains for all the work they do, so.
What is a street captain? I didn't even know there was such a thing. That's another
You
thing for
might,
the
you might be
newsletter.
interested in becoming one. Paul, are we covered on all the streets? Are we covered on Summit and Shepherd?
You're
Rob,
Bradley.
I'm on Bradley. I think Tessa might be the street captain. Is she?
Tessa- Yeah, Tessa is.
Yeah, but I never knew what it was. I just thought it was something she volunteered.
It's
She just
basically.
named herself. I had no idea it was something
It's-
official.
We're trying to get a street captain for every street, and the street captain has two main jobs. Keep an eye out for new residents
Uh-huh.
and get a welcome basket from the village.
Oh.
And then help advertise community events by handing out flyers or getting the word about. And, just really doing anything they can to kind of connect people in the street.
I want to put in a pitch here to thank the street captains. This is Marty again. Because this year, for the first time, we have a contractor actually updating the voter roll. And the street captains, we're in the last week here. We need to finalize the voter roll because we have to send it to the mail vote contractor to prepare the ballots to be mailed. And the street captains, a lot of them have stepped up to help us confirm the last few residents on each street where there's not somebody we know, but a street captain might know the person. And some of the street captains have been really funny and really nice about doing that. And I just want to give them a kudo here. It's not obligatory. That's not in their job description. But when the election committee needed some help this last week and this week, a lot of the street captains said, "Oh yeah, I know this person," and no, that person doesn't live there anymore, because you have to be a current resident to get a ballot, obviously. So, I want to thank the committee, the engagement committee, for filling in the blanks. And if it's okay with you all, the election committee will probably be calling the new street captains that you have. For Summit and Shepherd, I think were two. Who are the new people for Summit and Shepherd? Because the election committee might ask them for help right this week. Do we have names yet for those?
Paul,
It's Charlie, sorry, I can't remember Charlie's last name.
I can't pronounce it, but it's Charlie. Yes.
that's Shepherd.
On Shepherd, and I can't remember the Summit person.
Okay, could you get back to me after the meeting with their contact info? Because
Oh.
like I said, we could use their help.
Marty, this is Yasmina. I'll send you an email with Charlie's contact.
Wonderful. And whoever it is that's now on Shepherd.
He's on
That's
Shepherd.
on
I
Shepherd,
don't know
Marty.
He's
I
on
don't know,
Shepherd, so
who's
We're
on-
trying to figure out who's on Summit.
who's on Summit, exactly.
Paul knows, but he can't think of the last name.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. And Oxford Street is listed as vacant on my current list. I know Lynn Weller used to do that with Quincy. Michael Krakoff has been wonderfully helpful on Quincy. I'm wondering if Michael could pick up the few houses on Oxford too? If Michael Krakoff could do that as well?
Do you know him, Paul?
I don't.
I can get in touch with him, Marty.
Yeah, and just ask him to check Oxford too, if you would. It's
How
only-
do you spell his last name, Marty?
This is from memory, but it's Krackov. We have a Krakoff with an OF and a Krakoff with an OV, and I believe he's the Krakoff KOV.
And what
Um,
street did you say he was on? Quincy Street?
He's on Quincy. He was doing Quincy, and he got back to us, in fact, just today, to the election committee with some help on confirming some of our residents on Quincy. And Oxford is just that little tail end there at the foot of Quincy, so I'm hoping that Michael might be willing to do that as well. And
If you go to the Community Engagement Committee website, you will see all the street captains' names that we are aware of at the village office level. It's this committee that's supposed to be kind of organizing them, and I know Paul's been kind of taking a lead on that, so thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my, at my email. So yeah. 'cause
I know Marty's right that Oxford is currently vacant, but so are half the houses on Oxford right now, so it's not that big of a deal, but
Yeah, like 3 people are living on Oxford at this point.
I mean, there's only 6 houses on Oxford, so it's,
Did you
Right.
want a copy of the directory, Paul, to look up,
That's okay.
on Summit?
Let me see, I have it in my email, I just can't find it. Yeah, I'll look at it and I'll get it to you, Marty, yeah.
Thank you. And again, just a general thank you to the engagement committee for coordinating the street captains and for everybody who is a street captain. The election committee really appreciates your help because we're trying to make sure that every resident can be able to vote this year. We really want to have a complete voter roll. And, you know, you won't find more pro-democracy champions than the election committee who say everybody should be able to vote. So we don't want to miss anybody. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, we appreciate you and, what you're doing too in your committee, Marty. Thank
Election
you.
committee, they all say hi. The election committee says hi to the engagement committee and many thanks.
Okay, then next, let's talk about the, celebration on the sidewalk, which will take place on Tuesday, May the 7th. This is an event that, is very well attended. It takes place late in the afternoon, and the way we've set it up in the past is to have the one vendor I know I'm going to call to have there is the Good Humor Man. He's always a big hit. What I'd also like to do this year is to have representatives from the various utility companies, from WSSC, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, Pepco, the electric company, Exelon, and also Washington Gas. I'd like to have a representative be on the sidewalk from all of those companies. And also with the barbershop, they'll give haircuts for half price. The grocery store, Joe will pretty much do the same thing. Maybe even give away some free food and drink and beverage and ice cream and so forth. And of course, the Olympia will pitch in and help us, even though they won't be there because they leave early. They'll leave some good food after they've left for us to distribute to anyone that who wants to partake in that. So this is all good, and they'll all be very cooperative. The merchants will be.
Fantastic.
Is there
So
any
I'm-
chance, Keith, that the Olympia Cafe would stay open that one evening, or are they really not gonna?
No, and I don't really expect them to because they have a long ways to go and, you know, they're in there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to have that, but I don't think that that's what Grace and her husband want to do. So, but they'll make up for that. They'll more than make up for that with some very delicious food that they're going to make for us.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you as always. And
So when you say
if there's any questions
the
on that,
representative from Good Humor, I'm assuming you mean the ice cream?
yes, the ice cream truck.
Okay.
I
ice cream
know this
truck.
guy. I have him every year as a vendor and he's great.
No,
Okay.
Keith, that's really important because in the election committees, just finished putting together the official VMA election info packet, and on the front cover letter of that, we promise in red ink, in bold, free ice cream on election day. So we made the promise, and we're
Uh-huh.
awfully glad you're going to make honest
Yeah,
folks of us here.
we will
Thank you
make
for
good
doing it.
on that. That's my promise to you, Marty.
Thank you.
I like having all the utilities there, because, so, to be honest, since the elections aren't held there anymore, I used to go when you voted. But I haven't been since. I was like, why would I go? I don't need an ice cream. I don't have kids that are young anymore. Why would I come? So I think having something that
Well,
for people without
Oh,
kids.
and
we
also,
normally-
hi, it's Katie. Oh, sorry. Who was speaking? I didn't mean
Go
to.
ahead, Kate. Go ahead, Casey.
Susan.
That's,
Oh,
that's Susan. She's our new member, Katie.
Oh.
I know is joining, but
Hi,
that's
Susan and Susan Fatty too, both Susans. So I worked on this last year with the when I was liaison to the committee last year, and another component of it, we invite our local artisans and authors in the neighborhood too.
that's cool.
So I think I have the list, or Michael probably definitely has the list. That was a really nice turnout last year. I think we had about at least almost 10 different little kiosks, and they showed their artwork, displayed their books. So that's a nice component of it too. And I'm happy to share any of that information and help you all any way I can that night, because I'm not
That's
one of the
right.
candidates. I am not running for re-election this year. This is not my year, so I can help.
It's
Okay, well,
one of the longstanding traditions with the sidewalk celebration is the artisan fair. And it has been really popular over the years. I think it's
Definitely.
the most popular
Well,
aspect.
also Susan and Katie, I believe that I'd like to ask Gene Sperling with the Chevy Chase at home.
Mm,
She and her husband Bill will have a table there,
mhm.
and maybe the people, our neighbors next door here, with the music group could
Yeah,
be there.
the music group should be there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I mean, maybe we invite like the Chevy Chase Historical Society. They might have some fun old pictures or photos to display. And
Yes,
our
yes.
local
Great idea.
our local representatives too. It's a nice event for them too to meet.
We've
their
got
residents.
one right down on the other side of the park there in Rollingwood. What's the young man's name, Michael? Do you know the
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron Kaufman. Yeah, he's great.
He's great. He's wonderful. So I'm going to personally ask Aaron to be there.
And Susan, I did want to mention that, yes, you can in a way vote at the celebration at the sidewalk again this year, not with a ballot and paper ballots like we used to do in person, but the election committee has arranged with the contractor to have an actual secure, accessible drop box for the completed ballot envelopes. And we'll have a little table that says election committee with the drop box, so that residents can turn in their signed, sealed, completed envelopes. And then at the end of the evening, after 8 p.m., the election committee delivers those to the mail vote contractor. And then they hold them securely until the vote counting day, which is 2 weeks later, because it's a mail vote election. So yes, you can bring your sealed ballot envelope and put it in the official mail vote drop box and get an I voted sticker. And so again, the
Not
the
quite
mail
the
voting.
same as the days when that was the only way you could vote.
Oh my
Have to
goodness,
go to the sidewalk.
if you tried to
it's
say now
better.
that people could only vote for 3 hours on one day, people would be up in arms probably, because mail voting is just so much better. It has really increased participation, not just in Martin's Editions, but pretty much everywhere it's used. And it's
Yeah,
so much
no.
easier and accessible for people with
know,
young
I know.
kids and elders and all that. So anyway, but having a drop box, last year more than 100 of the residents
Oh,
used the
really?
drop box to deliver, to drop off their completed envelopes. And that
Hmm.
was just really efficient for the election committee too. So look for the committee with our little table and probably some red, white, and blue bunting or something, and
So-
come get.
So
Yasmina,
this is Yasmina, and I've heard some really good ideas, and I really appreciate everyone's input. I just want to take a moment to just talk about logistics around those ideas to make sure that, that we're set up to implement them. And I know that Michael and Aaron do a ton of work around this event. Thank you so much. But just want to clarify that, so we're really clear about what falls to you and what's not necessarily being covered. So we've got it all taken into account.
Last year, we made a spreadsheet with everyone that we invited and who was responsible for inviting them. Keith just mentioned several people that he's going to personally invite. So maybe that would be helpful this year if someone wants to type up that list and say who's going to invite them. From the village office's perspective, we're happy to do it, or we're happy to provide you with the information you need. We're in the process of putting together a flyer. And we've also looked at some of the vendors already, especially the vendors that we would be paying, which would include the ice cream truck, which is not a cheap ice cream truck. So everyone should be aware of that. And then also this year I want to make it easier on us. I think I want to just do a party rental company to have some tables and chairs. They used to do this back in the day. Last year we didn't have that many people coming to table. So we just kind of made do with the tables that we have. We have a couple here in the office and stuff. So we kind of made do. But with the party rental company that does tables and chairs, they'll come set it up. And that's for about $500. It has to be $500 for them to do the delivery. But they'll come pick it all up the next day. You know, the election committee can get a table all set up there with their chairs. We can have some round tables for people to sit at. As well as, you know, the artisans to set their stuff up at and have plenty of tables. So that was one idea. And then also we can do different things. Like we can set up a food table for Olympia Cafe, make a bunch of sandwiches for us, maybe some bags of chips and those types of things. Joe at the market provided food, came out and tabled some stuff for us last year. So I think making a really nice ask for them and telling them that there's going to be a table there for them to come set up at. The party rental place that we found also provides Moments Party Rentals. They will also bring a popcorn machine if we would like that. They can even bring a shaved ice machine. There's lots of options we can do if we want to kind of do it up a little bit better than last year. I know this event went away for a couple of years during COVID, and with vote mailing, but last year, I think it was a big success. So I heard us mention a lot of different people that we invited. We also invited both the police office, the off-duty police officers the village hires last year, and they came in uniform, it's nice when they're in uniform because they're normally undercover. So there's not really a police presence, but when they can be here in uniform, that's really appreciated. Olympia Cafe was great and provided a bunch of sandwiches last year. This year, I do want to pay them for that. So I felt bad them just giving us all of that last year.
Okay.
And maybe we can ask them to do a little bit more if we're telling them we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
What else? The Chevy Chase Historical Society was invited last year. They did not attend.
Who else was there? There was another vendor that was there, not vendor, but there was.
The Chevy Chase Library was there last year.
Chevy Chase at home.
Chevy Chase at Home was there last year, and the Chevy Chase Library was also there. If you want to invite both of them as well.
Michael, I have one logistical question for you and Yasmina. In case of rain, speaking of Keith and our weather forecast for tomorrow, is it possible to have a canopy? I mean, will the rental company provide a canopy over some of the tables? You know, one of those. You know, I'm thinking of those lightweight, you know, like the garden canopies. I mean, I have one in my garage I could load to the village. I'm just remembering the one election day when it poured rain on us and we all got soaked.
I do have a couple tents, and the election committee would be obviously the first on the list to get a tent. So that was my plan for if there's rain.
We don't need to be first, but we would like one if it's pouring.
Yeah, and the ones the party companies tend to provide are like the really big ones that you're gonna have a wedding in or something.
Oh
So
yeah, we don't need anything like that.
And you have to like stake them down and stuff. So I think
No,
just going with
no.
like the 3 or 4 that we have here in the village office would work.
And I
Yeah,
also can loan, I have 1 or 2 I can loan too, but in case that happens, but that's a
But
good
Keith-
question, Mary.
But Keith, we're counting on you for good sunny weather. So hey, you know, this is on you, Keith.
Marty,
but it's great to know.
I've already put in that order.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I had one other issue to raise that came up last year, some feedback, not to be a Debbie Downer or anything. A couple of the residents, or there was a tradition where I guess there was wine and cheese or wine associated with this event.
Wine and beer, Katie. Wine and beer
okay,
both
yeah.
in a big tub of ice.
I know there's and you know, there wasn't last year, and some residents were disappointed, but I just heard from a handful, not many. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know we have a standard answer to that, why we don't do that, but I just wanted to let you know that there is that buzz, but.
Well,
Yeah.
following up on that, Katie, this is Marty again. I actually, on behalf of the election committee, think it's better not to have alcohol served. I mean, I know that voting used to be held in the 1800s in saloons, were voting places. But really, in terms of good election procedure, it's probably best not to have a whole lot of alcohol being served free in and around a voting station of any kind.
Oh, I
So-
I agree. And being someone who just gave up wine proudly for Lent, it is doable. So you can go an evening without wine. It's fine. So yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to let you know there might be questions about that because I received them last year. So
Yeah, Marty and Katie, in due respect, there will be no spirit served at any of our events.
sure, understood. Yep.
If people, we can't stop people if they want to bring their own, but we're not doing that.
And
There-
I think
there
that's just fine. Yeah.
There is some concern about, who's taking IDs. The liability just scared me when I first came in here and heard that this was the practice. I kind of talked to Keith and we kind of agreed that this is probably not the best idea. If it's La Firme or something like that has a liquor license, then it's one thing, but I don't want to be responsible for buying and distributing alcohol to the community. So.
That makes sense. Yep.
And I know the several people that do complain about this at every single one of our events, and I think they've all gotten the message and they've all started bringing their own supply. So that's kind of what's happening.
Manage for 2 hours at a block party.
Yeah,
No,
really,
no.
really.
No comment from Paul.
Only
Who has
Guinness from
excellent-
Paul. I expect Guinness, Paul.
Paul, I would commend for his excellent taste in beers, I must say.
Paul knows how to throw a party. We've been there, right, Marty?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hope he throws another one soon.
Okay, so that's kind of my plan for how we're gonna invite everybody. It sounds like we're inviting everyone on the same list. The only thing that we mentioned that wasn't invited last year was the Chevy Chase Historical Society. I don't see them on my list from last year. I do see.
I think, weren't they asked and they didn't come?
Do you have the spreadsheet from last year rather than reinventing the wheel? Can we use that as a basis?
Yes.
Would you send it to the committee and
happy to.
then we can just add anything new? I don't think there is anything new.
Yeah, and there's a couple on here that I've just seen that we haven't mentioned, including the fire chief, I think was invited but didn't come, if I remember correctly. And then the politician and the county executive and those types of people.
What I'm gonna do, Mike, is that's okay with you, I'm gonna go to the merchants. I'll run interference for you before you talk to them about
Let's
anything monetary. I just wanna let them know we'd like to have them help us, and
That's great. Let's have me make up a flyer that has all the details on it. That way when we're inviting people, we have an official kind of something to hand them and say, here's the date and the time and stuff. Because otherwise people will forget, and especially the merchants, they don't write stuff down, or they just kind of are just like, okay, yeah, we'll help. And then they never follow up. So getting an official yes and a flyer in front of them, I think it was a good start. So that's great.
Yeah.
Does anybody know whether there's a new tenant in the corner store that has the clothing and gifts, the little corner store? I heard a rumor that was changing hands and that a village resident might be running it in the future.
that's the Boland's gonna take that over,
Monty and Elizabeth Boland?
and her parents.
Oh,
Elizabeth
okay.
Boland has rented that indefinitely with her interior design architect firm.
Just walked by on my way here and it was like, everything's gone and they're
Mhm.
painting. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, they're renovating and they were hammering all day. So
Before we move
yeah.
on here, I've got one question for Michael. Is slipping my mind right now. He's a great guy. We've always used him here. He works for one of the other additions. That does the that helps us during and puts the signs up on the street and so forth.
Wayne.
Wayne, bless his heart. Are we gonna use Wayne?
That's kind of my staffing, sometimes Wayne comes around and does things around the village when I
Okay.
can't get to it or when I'm out of town and stuff. So if we need extra hands, I can
He's
actually,
very handy and
I can definitely ask him to be there and to
Yeah,
help set
yeah.
up. Absolutely, sure.
Michael, have we decided if we're gonna have the popcorn machine and the shaved ice
I think it came to about $300 for not only the machine and the cart that it comes with, but then all the supplies. We thought we could get it for $300 for the popcorn. If we're gonna do the ice cream truck, I would say leave the shaved off ice and just do the ice cream truck. But you could pick and choose. The other thing with the popcorn machine is someone would have to man it. So I don't know who wants to be serving up.
They don't offer
Oh,
person.
that's a big job.
If someone wants to be serving up bags of popcorn. I mean, we can do it too.
And Andrew could help us with that.
You're volunteering him.
Anyways, it's something to think about. We don't.
It's a nice
need it.
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can afford it, I would support that.
I think we can afford it.
Yeah, we can afford it. $300. I say we do it.
Kids will love it.
And we can ask maybe the market for like a bunch of sodas and those types of things. As popcorns are very salty.
I think Marty has something to say.
No, I was just sitting here, admiring the planning and love the spreadsheet, and I'm a big one for organized planning, and I love the way you guys are putting this together. So kudos, carry on. I think it's great.
For the people in the room, I do have the flyer that was used for last year that included
Oh, yeah.
all of the different vendors and everything. So this was kind of the big flyer that we did. We also did a small flyer that we could hand out. So we were thinking of doing something like this.
We're gonna do a door to door, right?
Yeah, do door to door again.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the first step, is for us to create the flyer and then create the list of people that we want to invite and start inviting them.
Michael, will the flyer say that people can bring their completed sealed ballot envelopes to the election table? Is that on the flyer?
It is not.
Would it fit on the flyer? No.
I don't know what exactly what the decision there was about. Maybe, I don't know if there was something with keeping the committee separate or something.
Well, I think we'd probably I can't speak for the committee. We haven't discussed it, but we generally like being included and like publicizing this public service, that there will be the drop box in the committee table and people can just drop off their envelopes. So yeah, if you don't mind, then maybe I can give you some, a line or two from the election committee to include on the flyer, like this is.
So last year's flyer said Village of Martin's Additions 2023 celebration on the sidewalk in celebration of the village election.
There you go.
But it
bring your
didn't say
sealed-
anything about how to drop your ballot off and last year the election committee was tabling and they were checking everyone's envelope to make sure there was a signature on the back of it before they dropped it in the box.
We'll do the same this year, and we should have I voted stickers for people too this year. I think the village might have some I voted stickers in one of your
We do.
boxes.
We have some left over from last year, and I think I ended up buying more actually. So
Oh,
we do.
no, good. We'll have those, and I think it just sounds great. But do to remind people, because like I said, if we have 100 or 120 voters drop off their sealed ballot envelopes that day, it saves us money in terms of postage, and it saves. It's just a really efficient way to help handle the election. Plus, it's nice. It's a nice public service to have a drop box, and helps people vote. And I'm all for anything that helps people vote. So we'll give you a line or two to say, bring your sealed ballot envelopes and signed and sealed ballot envelopes to the VMA drop box or something like that. We'll give you a line or two. So thank you for including that. This
Great,
celebration
Molly.
on this celebration on the sidewalk actually started way back years ago, before my time on the election committee, as a way to get people to come to vote to the in-person elections, because the turnout used to be so pathetically low. And I think it was Gene Sperling, I think I'm giving credit to the right person, who said, well, why don't we have kind of a party on the sidewalk to get more people to come on election day and vote? Because we would have fewer than 100 voters some years turnout. Now we have 300 to 400, which is great. But that's how this started, and it turned out to be a great party. So, and helped with elections. So thank you both.
All of these events and these innovative and creative things in the village here is because of Jean Sperling.
She had a lot of good ideas.
And she still does. And speaking of ideas, if Philip's still with us there, I'd like to hear any idea or ideas he might have.
He's not online.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on from the celebration of the sidewalk to briefly the 4th of July celebration, which will take place the last Sunday or the Sunday before the 4th of July, which with the date of that would be what?
June 30th.
Okay.
And we're already in the process. I've tasked Aaron, the assistant village manager, at applying for the permit from
Maryland Park and Planning.
Maryland Parks and Planning for that day. That's never an issue, but they always want proof of insurance and all sorts of stuff. So, but that's in the works already. And then we can just start booking the same vendors as last year, or at least letting them know about the date. I don't know. I don't have the list of the vendors in front of me, but
We're gonna have 2 water slides, one big and one small, and a dunk tank that the
I
kids
do
are
love that.
bonded and determined to have me go into.
I love that every year, Keith. You and Jeff
right.
Lind are the donkeys.
It's always a big hit. Well, Jeff went in last year. So we're gonna have a lot of fun there. I'm really excited about that. I'm always excited because those events always take place right there in my bailiwick.
Outside your front door.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
last year I think we did 2 food trucks and
Oh, we did it up right last year. That everybody loved it.
You had great hot dogs, as I recall,
Yeah.
some kind of special hot dogs.
Yeah, that's right.
Delicious.
Yep.
And
I mean,
I,
I remember
You
them.
remember, Susan?
that's also where we decided to just order a bunch of pizzas as well.
Yeah, that was a
big
great
hit.
idea. That's always a big hit.
Kids, though.
It was a hit for the Halloween festival as well. Kids
And
were
that's the
right
same thing
through
where we
those.
rent tables for everything and we do rent a big tent there.
Mhm.
And set up the different vendors with the face painting comes for that one.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember.
Well, face painting is always a big hit, so we gotta do that. Okay, the other 2 events, which is pretty much one and the same as the movie night, which we're gonna do on, we'll pick a day in August, preferably a Saturday in August, and then we're gonna do a Sunday on the Labor Day weekend.
I think we've set the dates already.
Did we set them? Okay.
Or did we say that we couldn't because it was going to be the new committee? I think we set some dates. Go back.
I think they
Yeah,
were
you could-
tentatively set, although I don't have those dates with me, but they were tentatively set for early, like the first Sunday in August and maybe
Right.
the Labor Day weekend, Sunday,
Right, the first Sunday or the first Saturday in August.
right?
Be better to do it on the
So we
on
had-
Saturday, I guess,
We
because
set Sunday, August the 4th and Sunday, September 1st.
Right.
We had dates.
do we agree that we should do it on a Saturday or a Sunday in August? Sunday for sure in September because the next day is Labor Day.
Yeah.
But should we do it on a Sunday in August when people will be working the next day?
Have we done it on Sundays before, or has it always been Saturdays?
We've done Saturday in August. Well, last year was the first time we did August. We wound up doing it Sunday because last year we had a couple of snafus there. So, but that actually worked out in our favor because Rollingwood had a similar type of thing on the Saturday and we got a lot more people because we had the snafu. So it all worked out. So can we decide on that? Or are we gonna do it on a Saturday night in August which would be August 3rd? Right, Mike?
August 3rd is the first Saturday.
Okay.
You want to do Saturday or Sunday? I'll let you all decide. You're the
Well,
committee.
does Rolling Wood do this every year? Because if so, you might want to ask.
Good
them.
point. Let's,
Coordinate.
I've already coordinated with them and in conversations with both their event committee and their president of their homeowners association. And they want to, once we have the dates confirmed, they want to be invited. They have been asking to kind of collaborate on events, and this one doesn't cost us any more if more people show up.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like that, Marty and Susan and Katie? Rolling Wood wants to kind of get in on the act here with us.
More
Sure.
the merrier.
I think it's fine as long as we're not spending resident taxpayer taxpayer
Right.
dollars. It's all good. Why not?
Okay,
Susan, what were you gonna say, Susan?
I was just gonna make sure that, you know, if they're doing it too, it's great. It's more weekends, so hopefully it's reciprocated. We hear about their events and we coordinate dates so that people can go to more movie nights. It's fun. And I don't know if you guys are gonna do that survey or whether that worked well last year. I liked it. You know, I voted for a movie that was 2 young kids, so I could go, but it was like in between.
Yeah, what do you all think of the survey I put out soliciting recommendations?
For sure.
that was the best idea.
Yeah.
That was the best survey ever.
It's fun, and then people remember about the event.
Yeah.
Okay, you got me laughing. Okay, well, I'm happy to do that again. And what we did last year is we just put together kind of our list of recommended movies. Then we said other as well. So people put in other. And then we kind of picked some of the higher two.
Did a lot of people respond?
No, not that many.
Well, it was a good reminder about it.
More people
regardless.
will vote than will vote on our movies, but
Maybe we should have them vote on 2 things.
but yeah, that does help kind of give us an idea of what people are interested in. And I do agree that kind of picking the more adult movies, kids come for the candy and the sodas and stuff. But if the parents want to see it, because I was there for the second movie, which was Top Gun, the new Top Gun, and that one was pretty well attended. And
Right.
I think the dads were out there enjoying it, so that was great. What was the first movie? It wasn't E.T., was it?
It was E.T.,
but-
yes.
E.T.
It was extraterrestrials.
You know,
Yeah, that's a classic. That's
Yeah. Well, we'll stop with that then. I think we've got everything all said here. And,
So there was an additional thing that I wanted to add to the agenda, and I don't know if you saw my email about it, Keith. One of our residents asked me if it would be possible to organize a family cleanup at
Yeah.
the park.
that's all.
And I thought that was a really nice idea. His idea was to have parents and kids together, and you know, he said we'd probably have to have some kind of incentive to get people there. I don't know.
Is that Shepherd Park?
And I don't know if we
Yeah.
have the ability to offer SSL hours because we're not a nonprofit, so I don't know if that's possible, if you have to be accredited for SSL hours. So anyway, I just wanted to ask everyone, I'm conveying the request and wanted to ask everyone what they think and if that's something we want to do. And if so, how do we do it? When do we do it? Do we do it? I mean, maybe we can do it after a movie night, you know, I don't know.
great idea.
Yeah, Michael likes the idea.
I have to give
before, you
I have
know.
to give
Yeah.
Keith a shout out here because after the movie nights, Keith is down walking around the park at night with his flashlight, picking up trash after the kids. And just 2 weeks ago, there was a bunch of trash collecting and blowing down Taylor Street. And Keith came with me and we got trash bags and walked down the street and picked up trash on a couple of the streets. So I think volunteers are already doing that. I understand some other people have already, you know, take turns kind of running around the park to pick up trash. I like the idea of inviting the general public to come do that and pick up after themselves and start learning some lessons about not littering. But maybe it would be better tacked on to another event. That would be.
But do you have signs and things? I actually just yelled at some kids.
Oh, you did?
I did because,
This evening?
no, when I was going to Brookville and there were a bunch of kids in Brookville and I had seen them earlier at the tables at Olympia. Olympia's was closed,
Oh,
probably like 10. And they had left a bunch of their ice cream things. And I said, I didn't yell. I said, were you guys the ones eating ice cream? You left your trash. And they said, oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, you should pick up after yourselves. But I think we need some signs.
Well, good for them for admitting to it.
Yes, they were very polite about it, and I was polite in asking. I didn't say I saw you. But it's like,
Susan, whenever I see a kid, and my house is the last house that's right on the park.
Mhm.
Whenever I see a kid throw away in a trash can down there, we've got a couple of them. I dispose of the, whatever. I always go out of my way to thank them.
Good idea.
I did get one comment recommendation to replace all of the village owned street trash cans with ones that have maybe lids on them. So some people think that the trash is like blowing out of the trash cans. I don't know if that's the case. I think people are
It's the
littering.
rats.
And the Brookville market right now has been having an issue with their trash, and I am in contact with the owner of this shopping center and provided him with the contact information for our trash people that show up on time every single week, because he's been having a hard time with
Well, they
his
got
trash.
one dumpster today.
Yeah,
I got involved in that myself, and I left a message with the landlords or landlord that what's gonna happen, if that continues, is that the health department will shut down the whole shopping center.
Wow.
And shortly thereafter, one of the dumpsters was taken care of. They didn't get the second one next to Taylor Street. There's still a lot of boxes that are on the ground and up against the fence, and the trash is piled up up above the top level
that's
of
the
the dumpster.
recycling bin. Yeah. Anyways, that's an ongoing problem. So absolutely agree, Yasmina, that we should organize some sort of trash pickup and civic lesson in not
Okay.
littering.
I would love to have it after an event. I mean, to suggest that we do it after an event, but it looks like all of our summer events are going to be happening on Sundays. So that's not really conducive to having a cleanup immediately.
For the
event.
first movie night, do we say Saturday or Sunday in August?
We agreed with Saturday.
do that Sunday.
So sorry, are we changing it to Saturday?
Just August. Sunday would be the Labor Day weekend,
So it's going to be Saturday, August the 3rd.
correct?
Okay. And everyone's in agreement on that?
Yep.
Cool. So then maybe we do a cleanup on the 4th?
I like it.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll provide trash bags and gloves and
Can we do something simple, like have like a box of ice cream sandwiches or something like really, just like a little incentive for kids
Yeah.
that turn up?
We'll do it.
absolutely.
I mean, there's nothing like ice cream.
We'll
to
do
get
it.
people out.
If you show up for the entire hour, we'll take you to the Olympia Cafe and you can buy an ice cream cone.
Oh, maybe we could have like a little coupon or something and they
Yeah.
can go exchange their coupons.
That's a
then.
good
That way you know.
Yeah.
Ice
you'll
cream
be
all
able to-
melts. It's August, it would be really.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we can just remind them to throw their trash away when they're done.
Amen.
That's a great idea.
Okay, cool. So we'll tell them to bring gloves or we'll supply gloves.
Maybe tell them to bring gloves. We can supply like
Can we sup-
throwaway
we-
plastic gloves or something.
Yeah, like,
Sure.
yeah, non-latex gloves.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, let's get some more public comments before we adjourn.
My only public comment, this is Marty again, is I love this committee. You all are so fun. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for all
Yeah.
the wonderful planning, and Michael, thank you for all the wonderful staff support. And yay team, y'all are just
Yeah.
really fun.
Well,
Thank you.
we love you too, Marty. And with that, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
All right.
Thank you, Katie and Susan. And
Thanks.
Marty.
Yeah, good to
Thank
see
you.
you all. Thank you.